welcome to Rajya Sabha TV. You're watching a special report on the security requirements of the country. I am Palak Sharma. In this report, we will be telling you all about the indigenization of defense manufacturing, government's big ticket projects, the internal security requirements and other issues such as the one rank, one pension policy. India is the largest importer of defense equipments in the world. It is a situation that the government is hoping to change mainly by focusing on its Make in India and Buy in India policy. The upcoming budget is expected to give shape to the government intentions by including funds for the indigenization and modernization of our military equipments.
Currently, we permit 26% FDI in defense manufacturing. The composite cap of foreign exchange is being raised to 49% with full management control, Indian management and control through the FIPB route.
Even without the hike in the FDI cap announced by the finance minister last year, India depends heavily on foreign markets for defense equipment. Domestic equipment is just 30% compared to 70% that's procured from abroad, which is why the upcoming budget is expected to focus on Make in India.
And it's undoubtedly indigenization, I think, goes at the very heart of our defense preparedness. Unless we start making major systems and integrating them at home, we cannot be sure of our defense capabilities overall. And I think the Prime Minister is laying a lot of focus on it.
Defense procurements are a key area where the Defense Minister wants to signal big changes through the budget. In the last 3 decades, India has evolved significant design capabilities, from the missile program to its nuclear propulsion program. The list includes a series of light helicopters, the Tejas light combat aircraft, the Arjun tank and an array of naval technologies that drive warship building. Then there are safeguarded technologies in electronic warfare, combat management systems and secure communications. However, CAG is not happy. As it points out, 90% of the systems and subsystems of the Dhruv helicopter are sourced from abroad. The Tejas LCA and the Arjun tank also have high percentage of foreign components. While the warship building program has made indigenization a priority, 60% of the weapons and sensors in most Indian-built warships continue to be sourced from abroad, including in the recently launched aircraft carrier INS Vikrant.
We have two kinds of need. Firstly, the deficiencies must be made up as quickly as possible. In that, money is not the only problem. The procedures need to be straightened out. To give confidence to the outsiders who are willing to invest into India in various infrastructure developments, is they have to be confident that the country is secure, and of course the procedure should be simplified so that they do not run from pillar to post and hit a wall ultimately.
Currently, there are 17 main companies in India that are into defense manufacturing. They service approximately 12 lakh strong armed forces in what happens to be the 3rd largest army, the 4th largest air force and the 7th largest navy in the world. The upcoming defense budget has the task of strengthening of all the 3 defense forces with the help of bringing in more and more latest arms and equipments. Many experts feel that the key issue is not indigenization alone, but also the export policies that govern defense equipments. The government has announced its intention to simplify procedures so that more firms can invest in defense manufacturing. A keenly watched aspect of the budget outlay for defense is the fund allocation for the paramilitary troops that man India's hostile land borders. The army's direct interface with Pakistan, China, Nepal, Bangladesh and others. There's a wish list here too. Take a look. It's an ongoing challenge that draws focus to multiple parts of the country at once. Maoist violence in central India to ethnic armed insurgencies in the northeast, communal riots to incidents of terror. Successive years call for greater redressal of the problem. It's with this in mind that expectations arise of greater allocations to internal security in the Union Budget 2015-16 too.
I think one of the biggest challenges of internal security today is that we have armed groups who are capable of, first of all, getting weapons and also being able to establish their hold in areas, especially the remote areas of India. So in that context, I think the biggest need for internal security is policing, which I think the budget allocates, the last year's budget had allocated, and also increasing the ratio of policing. And the second thing is ensuring that some of the areas where these problems are have enough development schemes, employment, and related educational facility.
The issue also draws focus to the question on whether earlier budget allocations have been properly utilized. Listen in to what the Finance Minister has promised last year.
The scheme for modernization of the state police forces would be reviewed. I propose to enhance the allocation for a sum of rupees 1847 in the budget estimates of last year to rupees 3,000 in the current financial year. I am also allocating adequate funds for carrying out small but much needed development activities of this additional central assistance for left-wing extremist affected areas.
Even after all of this, glaring shortfalls persist in terms of implementation. Over 5 lakh police vacancies remain to be filled up. The number of policemen per lakh population falls far short of UN mandates. The proposed National Counter-Terrorism Centre that was to come up after the 1993 Mumbai serial blast is yet to come out. The recent case of Bengaluru-based executive Mehdi Masroor Biswas, the operator of Islamic State's Twitter handle, also raises questions on our cyber intelligence. Past allocations for left-wing extremism affected districts remain underutilized. Whether the budgetary allocations have been rightly utilized or not still remains a question, with absence of latest technology equipments for BSF, CRPF and other police forces, and installation of sensors on the border which has been pending since 2011-12.
If you see the complete scenario, internal security scenario of the country, you will find that we have problems in J&K, the terrorism problem in some part of J&K. Then if you come a little south, we have got in Gujarat, Sir Creek area, from where the infiltration bids have been in the past taken place. Then when you come to the coastal area, complete coastal area is exposed. If you come to the northeast, it's complete jungle area. North in complete on the northern side with the Nepal is again porous border. Now in case if you see in the central India, it's a Naxal problem. Now seeing this overview, we have to counter all these things, and humanly controlling all these, it's not possible. For this, we should have some technical elements with us.
A key aspect also will be the modernization aspect of India's internal security apparatus. There's a lot at stake, a lot that looks up with hope at the Finance Minister's Union Budget on the 28th of February. Time to head into a break, but when we return, we'll tell you about the requirements of the forces on the borders. While the government is addressing the issue of aging equipments in the army to better posture itself in defense against Pakistan and China, overcoming the difficulties of the forces on the borders is yet another big concern in the upcoming Union Budget. It's an arduous task, 24-hour maximum alert manning of the borders. This border with Pakistan frequently sees skirmishes and shelling too. All along the border, it's largely tough terrain or intense cold and hostile conditions, or all of them. There are primarily 4 border security forces at work: the BSF, Indo-Tibetan Border Police or ITBP, Sahastra Seema Bal or SSB, and the Assam Rifles. For Union Budget 2015-16, sources say the Home Ministry has called for special focus on certain areas that will help border troops. These include boosting internal security in eastern states, with special considerations on the red zone areas of these states. Increased use of unmanned aerial vehicles for border forces and special attention to drug trafficking control.
So my only request is, at least to start with for this year, the coming budget, I request my Honorable Minister of Finance to at least give 2,000 to 3,000 crores for minimum for modern, though they need about 10,000 crores for immediate modernization, but procurement is a problem because we are having a policy of procurement. So at least 2,000 to 3,000 crores has to be given to BSF in this for modernization of BSF with our equipments both in water wing, air wing, and also equipments for the ground forces, particularly in left-wing extremist area and also in the border for the border management.
The outlay for paramilitary forces manning our borders has seen an increase in last year's budget. The BSF, which guards the Indo-Pak and Indo-Bangladesh borders, was allocated 11,242 crore rupees last year compared to the 10,378 crore it received in 2013-14. Assam Rifles, which plays a key role in anti-insurgency operations in the northeast and guards the Indo-Myanmar border, has been allocated rupees 3,585 crore. In 2013-14, it had received rupees 3,358 crores. The ITBP, which guards the icy heights along the Sino-Indian border, got rupees 4,729 crore against the rupees 4,391 crore it received in 2013-14. The SSB, which protects the Indo-Nepal and Indo-Bhutan borders, got rupees 3,067 crore. In 2013-14, the force had been given rupees 2,763 crore. The latest induction in BSF's modern weaponry include X-95 assault rifle, 9mm Beretta carbine and barrel grenade launcher. Yet, talk of work conditions and vast shortfalls persist.
And the government in the Ministry of Home should take a personal interest and see that whatever equipment is available, the latest equipment on any kind of sensor devices must be supplied to the BSF. Budget should cater for this.
They safeguard the country's borders, setting aside their own lives, leaving home and hearth. What the country gives them in return, in their immediate functioning and for the longer term, is for the union budget allocation to decide. With upgradation and modernization on its mind, the government had recently cleared some big defense projects like the medium multi-role combat aircraft. This coming budget is also expected to enhance the funds for some big-ticket projects such as the 6 new diesel-class submarines for the Navy and many more.
Modernization of armed forces is critical to enable them to play their role effectively in the defense of India's strategic interests. I therefore propose to increase the capital outlay of defense by rupees 5,000 crores over and above the amount provided in the interim budget.
That included streamlining the procurement process to make it speedy and more efficient, and setting up a technology development fund for defense. But the fact is, most of the money has been spent on R&D. Big purchases have been pushed to the back seat.
While we have developed very well in the missile technology, we are heading for the Mars. But the technology and the equipment required on the ground, I mean, we still can't make an artillery gun in our country after so many years of independence. There is no dearth of talent. We have the ability, but somewhere the will has been lacking, either with vested interest or otherwise. So, in the long run, as you mentioned, indigenization is the only answer, not only from the money point of view, but also that in times of war, any country can let you down.
Several crucial procurement proposals are pending, with procedures waiting to be sorted out. Some important big-ticket purchases awaiting clearances include 126 French Rafale fighter jets, 22 Apache attack choppers and 15 heavy lift choppers, besides artillery, UAV drones, electronic warfare systems and multi-role helicopters for the Navy.
There is no doubt that over last couple of years, despite quite a lot of money having been spent, certain critical items, like for example the fighter aircraft, submarines, surveillance systems, air defense weapons, artillery guns, helicopters. These are the things that we require to procure. Now, obviously, a new mountain strike corps was raised last year, for which no separate, funds were earmarked. And that was probably the reason why some of the money from the capital side had to be transferred to revenue side, for the simple reason that you can't deny them salaries, nor their food or, dresses and uniforms and all that. So that is there. So now the government, I think, is conscious of the fact. They understand very well that all this will require money.
India has an aging fighter aircraft fleet. MiG-21 crashes are frequent occurrences. The crash of the IAF's 1,000 crore rupee C-130J Super Hercules raised tremors. Accidents in the navies, submarines and vessels have also been a matter of great concern. The Indian Army has not purchased modern artillery guns since the Bofors guns in the late 1980s. With reports of lack of basic equipment for all the three defence forces, a lot is expected in this direction in the Union Budget 2015-16. Time to slip into another short break, but when we return, we'll tell you about the one rank, one pension policy of the government, and we'll also get an insight on the defence budget from an expert. One rank, one pension has been a long-standing demand of the ex-servicemen of our country. With the voices and demands getting stronger for its implementation, it is most likely that the upcoming budget may address this issue. One rank, one pension. The concept implies that uniform pension be paid to the armed forces personnel retiring in the same rank with the same length of service irrespective of their date of retirement, and any future enhancement in the rates of pension to be automatically passed on to the past pensioners. Successive pay commissions have raised salaries of government servants, but pensions of ex-servicemen remain unchanged, and they want due corrective provisions on this in the Union Budget.
Our expectations are that this should be implemented in a very short time. I mean, say in a month or two. It shouldn't linger on, because see, it indirectly affects the morale of the not only of the retired veterans but also of the people who are still serving. See, as far as the budget is concerned, this amount is not such a huge amount for the government, for the nation. It's just about less than 900 crores. 9,000 crores. So it's not a very huge amount to meet the expectations of such a vast society of veterans.
The centre accepted the demand last year. 1,000 crore rupees were allotted for the scheme in the July 2014 budget. In 2013-14, the Army's capital budget meant for acquisition was reduced by about 5,000 crore rupees as the money was transferred to revenue heads used for paying salary, pension and fuel bill. All included, here was the one rank one pension scheme. But implementation of the scheme was delayed due to several reasons.
As far as the budget is concerned, it is not a very major issue. You must understand, defense, if you have that, you have to maintain the defense, is not a luxury to be enjoyed at no cost. Nation has to pay for it. And as far as the ratio is concerned, with respect to GDP or otherwise, I do not think for such a big nation this much of issue. I can tell you now, one rank, one pension which you are referred. It doesn't cost us so much as Allah has made. Unfortunately, there are some vested interests which have been creating hurdles and raising all kind of bogies. The present one rank one pension, when it is given, it is not going to cost us more than 9,000, less than 9,000 I can tell, 9,000 crores.
A 27-member delegation of ex-servicemen recently called on Defence Minister Parikar, and he made indications then that the scheme will be implemented before approval of the 2015-16 budget. All eyes on the Finance Minister. Budget is a big exercise, especially for the security apparatus of the country. I am joined by Mr. Amit Kaushish, Financial Advisor Acquisitions, Defence Ministry. Let's get an insight on the financial aspect of the defence of the country. Sir, thank you so much for talking to us. The Defence Minister had made several announcements in the last budget. Can we expect a path-breaking budget this time?
Well, it's very difficult to predict what the budget is going to be like, but my sense is that given the current fiscal situation, the need to infuse a lot of funds in the development of infrastructure, including smart cities, and of course for the social sector, and also keeping in view the fact that there is limited scope for reducing government's liability towards interest payment and subsidies. To me, it seems very unlikely that there could be a very drastic path-breaking increase in the defence budget.
So there have been a lot of announcements relating to the budget. Even last budget said a lot about allocations. But what are the immediate things that need focus, and what are you expecting in the upcoming budget? What are the immediate areas of attention?
So the areas which have traditionally been adversely affected because of paucity of funds are number one, procurement of ordnance stores, which significantly compromises the war waging capability of the country because it includes ammunition. The serviceability level of the equipment and the weapon systems we have, and the state of repair or disrepair of various other assets which we have. So I would say that this should become the priority area.
So what about the big ticket acquisitions such as the Rafale and the 6 new submarines that the Navy requires? What can we expect from this budget about these new acquisitions that the government has been talking about?
Insofar as the capital acquisition is concerned, 40% of the budget, as I said, is on account of capital expenditure, of which about 75 to 80% is for capital acquisition. Which is the segment from which we fund all these big ticket items like MMRCA, submarines, the works, all the tanks and so on. So there are projects like MMRCA is one. The Air Force needs the fighter aircrafts, the transport aircrafts, helicopters. Navy is looking for submarines. Army has been asking for guns for a long time. So similarly, there are certain projects which can be identified very easily, which are already in the process, which could be brought to their culmination, and money should actually be utilized for that.
So we are the world's topmost arms buyers. We import a lot from abroad. What do you think this budget has in store for us as far as the Make in India policy of the government is concerned? The government is focusing very strongly on the Make in India aspect.
See, Make in India in defence is slightly different from the general concept of Make in India, because Defence Ministry has had its own version of, if I may call it, Make in India for a long time by way of make procedure. It's been there for almost 10 years now, but unfortunately not a single project has taken off under that. So the need is more to address the policy issues, which of course the MOD is doing. And it doesn't require any immediate infusion of funds because initially all these make projects in Defence Ministry, they will take a long time before they come to a stage where there will be a requirement of huge sums of money. But initial allocation of even a smaller amount can give a push to it.
Right. So my last question to you, since you have been associated with the financial aspect of defence for a very long time now, what are the likely announcements that we can expect in this budget? You said it's not going to be a very path-breaking one, but what are the likely announcements that you see coming?
See, it's a union budget. It's not a defence budget. So I would not really expect the Finance Minister to make a number of policy announcements which have a bearing on defence. But certainly, as I said earlier, I would expect the Finance Minister to make some announcements about rationalization of the tax structure, about incentives to the defence industry, deemed export status for a certain section of the defence industry, and of course any other thing that goes into into strengthening the Make in India push. I mean, these are the kind of policy announcements which I would expect the Finance Ministry to make.
Thanks for watching this special report. We will be back with a new issue and a new report. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha TV.